I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to the Shameless Sex podcast. It is a hot day in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, it's smoking hot. It's actually supposed to roll over into the evening and be in the 80s. Now, if you're in a different country that is on Celsius, that's about, let's say, 17 degrees.
Well, Santa Cruz is never warm at night, so this is quite refreshing for us if it's going to be warm in the evening.
Right. I know. That's why I'm going to barbecue later after this.
You should barbecue naked. It sounds really safe.
I actually am highly against that.
You don't like my ideas?
I don't want to burn my tatas.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
The dark meat.
The dark meat, that's what she called it on our last podcast.
Dark meat.
Everyone, this episode is on so many things, but is on Ganja Yoga, Ganja, or also known as Cannabis, induced sexuality, or enhance, that's the word, not induce. Tantra, different tools and tips for how you can incorporate Tantra into your life. It is by a wonderful guest speaker whom I've known for a number of years.
Who's been in High Times.
She's been on the cover of High Times. Yeah, and she wrote a book called Ganja Yoga, and she teaches Ganja Yoga classes and Tantra classes and works with people privately. So lots of fun things to share. And if you don't smoke cannabis, it'll make you want to. If you don't live in a place where it's legal, sorry.
Just take a trip to Colorado or California.
Yeah.
Or Oregon or Massachusetts or where else?
It just keeps them expanding, right?
Nevada.
Yeah.
Not
or
Wisconsin.
A lot of other countries outside of the U.S.
Yeah. Vancouver. Go to British Columbia.
Yeah. It's a plant, yo.
You have options.
You have options. And if it's not your jam, then... Although what I will say, everyone, if it's not your jam, I share this in this podcast. Some of my best multi-orgasmic experiences have been cannabis-induced. Induced again. There I go. Enhanced. Where I've actually smoked some cannabis and had sex and had like amazing multi-orgasmic experiences. We talk a little bit more about that. So if you're someone who is just trying to get into the multi-orgasmic state and or enhance your sexuality, this actually might be a great option for you. Of course, it is consuming something, so you have to be on board for that. But
wait, I wanted to tell you one thing off topic is that your hair looks really great.
Oh, yeah, we got our hair did together.
We did yesterday. We did a Shameless Sex Hair Day at L'Atelier Salon. If you've never been there, you live in Santa Cruz, go check it out because she does an awesome job. She's not paying us to say this though, because I was like, I'm going to say something about your skills on the podcast because if you're looking for someone to do your hair, if you're, I don't know, whatever gender you are and you want someone to do your hair.
And you live in Santa Cruz.
Or, you know, in the area.
All the way down.
Go to L'Atelier Salon. It's downtown Santa Cruz because those folks do a great job. My hair is looking awesome. I just got a little trim. Yeah.
Yeah, go ask for Megan. She's amazing.
Megan's really good.
She owns it. Okay, so we have some announcements before we dive into this Yum Yum podcast. We said this on our last one, but if you live in the Bay Area, April and I are teaching our Erotic Superstar Workshop at the Center SF on August 2nd. That's from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. You can buy tickets at eventbrite.com. And
$20.
$20 advance, 25 walk-in, and you just look up Shameless Sex Presents Erotic Superstar, or you can just look up the Center SF, and we will be on there. So come and hang out with us, learn from us, San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area friends. I have one other workshop announcement too for Santa Cruz. I'm teaching Tantra in Motion. This is a couples workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop on August 5th. From 6 to 9 p.m. at Pure Pleasure. So you can sign up at purepleasureshop.com. I'm teaching that with Daniel Molnar, who's one of my favorite people to teach with. He runs Ecstatic Dance Santa Cruz, and he's one of the most phenomenal educators I've ever taught with. So if you have access to our
Besides
area...
me, of course.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
I'm not an educator, though, as much as...
No, you are.
Not a certified...
You're one of my... Well,
I'm life certified.
You're one of my faves. Yeah, I have a couple of faves, and he's one of my faves, and you're one of my faves.
You know, I mean, come on. You know, I like to... one of my languages is words of affirmation.
And she must be the best. You're the best
My
teacher
love languages.
ever. Yeah.
Thanks, Amy.
And
that was coerced, though, for sure.
No, she totally fished that out of me.
I totally did.
Like, I'm going to get that out of you. You will love me. Yeah. That's yeah. I do love you, though. But so this is all stuff that you pretty much have to be in our area. April and I did just film in a 4-week online workshop series that is not available yet, but will be available soon, where you can take from anywhere in the world.
Yes,
and it's all
it will
online.
have some really juicy, really valuable information. It's done well. We're working on it. It should be released shortly. We're only going to accept very few number of people, just at the amount we can handle initially, until we have the capacity to do more. So yeah,
Stay tuned.
We're going to read a sex question though first.
Yep, sex question. Okay. So we just realized that we have some sex questions in our inbox that were kind of hidden from, this is from April 5th. So we're really sorry.
Can I just say to all the listeners out there who have been writing us sex questions, thank you for writing us sex questions. Fortunately, we have a lot to choose from, and we're hoping that we give you a wide range of answers. So if you didn't ask your question, maybe we're answering it. And if we have answered it, amazing. However, we may not be able to answer everyone's sex questions moving forward just because our inbox is so flooded and we're really behind. And we even had, wasn't a hate
I just flashed
review?
April my bead.
Yeah, you did.
I just got a whack. I got a Brazilian wax, and I just felt like showing you.
I'm talking about serious things, and you're flashing your beeve over here.
Sorry.
Beeve flasher.
My bad.
So where was I? We got a bit of a hate review with someone that said that he asked a sex question and we never answered it, and he was feeling like we weren't doing a good job. So to that person, lo siento. And to all the other folks out there, we'll do our best to answer your question, but we just can't guarantee that we will get to it. We do have the Juicebox app though, and if you're feeling, it's 60% off for the first week. So if you're feeling like you really need your question answered and you're not certain that we will be able to get to it, download the Juicebox app, and then you can speak with us directly. 60% off for your first week. Good deal.
It might not even be us directly, but there's other sex coaches on there that you can get your questions answered right away.
And they can request us, and hopefully we can work with you.
Exactly.
So I just want to be transparent to everyone, so you don't think that
we've been trying to say,
slacking.
Everyone, let me just say, we've been saying that we'll answer every sex question. What has happened is we now get like 2 to 3 per day. And
that was a lot of days ago.
It's a good problem to have because
it
shows that you all are listening and you like us and you trust us. So we really love that. And I don't think we can say that we'll answer everyone anymore.
Sorry.
I know.
You could just keep sending them.
We're going to try, though.
The same question over and over again.
We're still going to try, and there's a chance that your question will be answered.
Yeah.
And with that, here's a question. Okay, so this person wants to remain anonymous. So we can use the first initial of their name, so S. And there was kind of a whole intro information about them, and they have a boyfriend of 5 years. So the boyfriend of 5 years. They're saying about their boyfriend. So my partner has said on many occasions that I am not slutty, naughty, or nasty enough. Not in terms of threesomes, but in terms of ravaging him. I've thought about it, and I really think that I was doing enough to keep him satisfied, like spontaneous public sex, role-playing, even buying sex toys to play with. But I guess I haven't because he's not satisfied. I'm not sure how to come out of my shell more to fulfill his needs. Any tips or ideas? I've asked before for him to give me tips. I've asked what he is imagining me to do, but his response is that he can't tell me because it will ruin his fantasy of what he wants me to do. Please help.
I have some initial feelings about this.
Yeah. What are you feeling? You got some feels?
I kind of want to tell her partner, like do some work. Yo.
Yeah.
Perhaps
she's not psychic.
No. And it sounds like he's just copping out and not really giving great direction. And how the fuck is she supposed to know what to do? So look, if you're conveying messages to your partner, and doing your best to fulfill as it appears his needs, which remember, he needs to fulfill his own needs and find joy and pleasure within himself. You can't do that for him. Of course, if it's a sexually bonded experience, there's things to bring each other pleasure for sure. But it sounds like you're not getting any direction, and that's confusing. I would be confused with this. I would be like, what the fuck? Am I not good enough for you? Which is what it sounds like. It sounds like the message is, I'm not enough.
So how confusing is it to be one told that you're not enough, you're not slutty enough, you're not nasty enough, you're not naughty enough, but I'm not going to tell you how you can be.
That's so confusing.
That's not helpful at all. And so what it sounds to me like he's using a lot of really blaming and kind of
you should just know what I want.
Yeah, this is more like defensive and blaming language that is not loving and is not helpful and is of kind of like the old school like patriarchy perspective that it's all about the penis and that
it's misogyny at its best.
Yeah, like we should know what they want and that we're there just to please them. So it's one thing for him to ask for his needs. Like if he came to you and say, hey, I'm really feeling like I have this need for more wildness and more spontaneousness, more spontaneity. I'm wondering if we can work on that together. That's beautiful.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Instead
he's like, you're not enough. And
you're not kinky enough, slutty enough, all of those.
And here she is trying all the things.
Right.
Still not enough. And then when she's going to him and saying, hey, let's work on this. What do you need? And he just shuts her down. So my opinion is
I'd get on Tinder.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, sorry.
That was fun.
I mean, for real though. Like,
well, yeah. Or
have a conversation first, but be like, look.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's not fair treatment, and it's not helpful, and so if you really care about this person, essentially what is in front of you is either you just continue to deal with this, and this is going to continue to hurt your worthiness and really confuse you, and maybe hurt your self-love, and that you're taking this all on as there's something wrong with you because there isn't anything wrong with you. This isn't you. This is a partner that has high expectations, that speaks in a way that's not loving and is not telling you what they want or need. So you let them know that this is what's going on for you. Like when he says this stuff to you, you feel hurt. You feel like you're not enough. You feel like your confidence is now leaving and shifting, and that if this relationship's going to continue to work, then you two need to work on this together. And part of that is one, that he doesn't shame you anymore with that language. And the other part is that he starts to share with you exactly what he's looking for and not expecting you to be psychic.
If he can't explain it, tell him to show you a video or a book or something. If words are difficult for him, ask him to use other methods. There's so many tools out there. You can Google whatever he's into, and I'm sure you'll find plenty of information / some imagery.
And if he's not willing to work and keeps the perspective that you should just figure all for yourself and you're not enough, get out of there.
Yeah. Sometimes the best things are when you say hasta luego. I wish you peace. I wish you love. I wish you all the kinky shit that you ever could dream of.
Good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
I just started my Tinder account.
Yeah. Oh, look at all the matches I have. Yeah. All right. Bye. Oh, yeah. It's a match again. Yeah, and we actually have a number of these questions from folks who this is like a reoccurring thing. Mm-hmm. Women are being told that they're not assertive enough, they're not confident enough, they are not wild and
not
kinky
sexual enough.
Yeah, there's actually another one that I'll just point out here. As someone else, the subject is called "Being Assertive" by another person's name starts with an S, is saying their partner wants them to be more assertive and less shy, and that this person is never orgasm, and then it's hurting his ego. And again, it's like all about him.
The thing is, if a person is naturally born shy, and it's going to be difficult to totally change their persona.
And you learn, you practice skills.
But building confidence is a hard thing, but you can refer to some really awesome psychological ways,
like men, women, and worthiness.
Men, women, and worthiness. You can power pose before an experience with your partner. You can building confidence takes time, and it's a lot of positive self-affirmations. Meditate on how beautiful and wonderful you are. Mm-hmm. Think positive thoughts every day.
Surround yourself with people that love you and build you up, and not people that put you down.
Right.
And
if you say bad things about yourself, replace those with 3 really nice things about yourself.
And this person who has never orgasmed with sex with him, and he's feeling discouraged. Like this is again, if you're in a partnership where there's one person that's saying you're not enough this or you're too much of that, they have work to do. Like maybe you have some work to do too, but anytime that comes up, that person that is the one that is accusing
the blame game.
Yeah, they have their own work. So this is a two-way street. So yeah, you can go and build all the confidence you want, and your partner needs to stop shaming you too. Yep. It's a two-way street.
Stop the shame game.
Stop the shame. Okay, that was we were so passionate today.
Yeah, we were.
I love being passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have smoked weed before this podcast.
I know, instead we're drinking some wine.
Yeah. Oh, P.S. I didn't even tell you all that Margins Wine is offering just for shameless sex a bit of a discounto. This is a last announcement, then we're going to dive into the podcast. I just forgot until right now. So go to marginswine.com, and if you buy 3 or more bottles and use the code shamelesssex10, you get 10% off 3 or more bottles. And then if you buy 6 or more bottles, you can get 15% off. Use the code shamelesssex15. She's never done anything like that before. It's just especially for Shameless Sex listeners. So tap in. She's got some beautiful wines. We talk about it all the time. Any state that you're in, I think there's only 3 exceptions, can receive this wine. She does ship. So obviously, I think you need to be 21 unless you live in Italy. Then you have to be 9 years old to order this. So
yeah, it's so good. We love Margins wine.
She makes a beautiful wine, and
I love how you call it beautiful. It really is beautiful.
It is beautiful wine.
Yeah.
It's an art. So
yeah,
yeah, that's all I've got about
raw
that.
wine, meaning organic. Hey.
Oh hi.
All right, yeah, that's our intro stuff. Yeah, so I was going to say, you said we're drinking this delicious wine and we wouldn't have it any other way, but because we talked about cannabis on this, we should have smoked cannabis before, but I think we've done that before when we were in Amsterdam.
And it's not super.
It didn't go so well.
Yeah, we're not really.
We slow down.
Yep.
Although some people would like us to slow down, but I think we get a little foggy in the brain.
Sometimes I'm not as sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, but so this is why for sexuality, like you don't need to be sharp.
No.
So that's why smoking cannabis there. But yeah, podcasting.
But I feel like the listeners deserve a bit of sharpness from me.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here like a big old dud.
Yeah, they're like, where's the humor?
Yeah, what's going on with her?
Where's fun, playful April?
I mean, that's happened before where I wasn't feeling super hot, but
yeah,
I'm feeling great today.
Do you like my beef?
Yeah, your beef is great.
I'm flashing her. I'm not wearing underwear and I'm flashing her my beef.
I'm not wearing underwear either, and I left a snail trail on my...
I got it waxed by this awesome woman in Santa Cruz. Her name is Rosalind. If anyone has any questions about getting...
Does she want you to talk about her on the podcast?
I mean, I just said that she does. She says she wants clients.
I could use a bead wax. Does she do the butthole?
Yeah, she does it all. You want to see my butthole?
If you want to show me, I'll totally look at it.
She's amazing. Everyone, if you have any questions about where to get waxed in Santa Cruz, message me and I will let you know because she's incredible and she does facials too. But anyways, okay, let me just my last note before we go to the podcast. I've had my vag wax many a time, and I still keep a little bush. I like having pubic hair.
Me too.
Because I feel like a woman.
Yeah,
because I am a
woman. I
woman.
like a bacon strip.
A bacon strip?
Yeah, it's like the size of a bacon strip.
Okay,
Tempeh
so it's
bacon if
like
you're
just a
vegan.
line. Okay, mine's like a triangle, like a pizza.
A pizza slice?
A slice of like a pizza, yeah, a wide pizza. But I've had my vag wax many times from different people, and a lot of times I leave there with my skin just like super irritated, and the experience is painful.
Yeah.
This one I didn't get either. Like she's so good at it that there was no pain the whole time, even when she's like waxing the labia. And I left there, my skin looks beautiful.
I've never been waxed. But do I have to grow out my bush then?
Yes.
See, that's a problem because it's summertime.
Just rock it.
I'm going to have to get some shorts.
What? Oh, for a bathing suit?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that hairy, but still. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's off topic, but good to know. I might consider that.
Good to know, everyone. So, yeah, that's the end of our rants. And are you ready for some ganja, sex,
I'm
yoga,
ready for all of
tantra?
Let's do it.
All right, everyone. It's episode time. Before we dive in, I am going to read the bio of another lovely guest speaker. I just want to comment on also, by the way, we first started this podcast, April, and I said we'd have a guest speaker like once a month. And now we have guest speakers like every episode. So it's awesome. We just know so many amazing humans.
I think it's good to change it up too. People they love our voices, but it's nice to add in some expertise.
Well, we don't know everything.
Hell no. I have to learn new things myself. And this is a good topic because I don't know a lot about Ganja Yoga, and I don't know. Let's read her bio because it's actually pretty cool.
All right. So Dee Dussault is a sexuality coach, Yoga Alliance certified yoga teacher, well, that was a mouthful, and the creator of Ganja Yoga with a Harpercollins book by the same name. Since 2009, she's taught easy partner yoga, vanilla tantra, and Ganja Yoga to thousands of people across the U.S., Canada, and Europe. To learn more, visit deedussault.com. I'll spell that for you. That's DeeDussault.com or theganjayoga.com. Welcome, Dee.
Bonjour,
Hey.
Dee. Hi, Dee.
Bonjour.
You're going to your French Canada thing going on?
Quoi, s'il vous plaît? But you're from Toronto, though, right?
I am from Toronto, and interestingly enough, I don't actually speak any French. Like, I think I can say pass the salt, but that's about it.
Merde. That's shit in French for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that word.
Yeah, those are the important words, really. Oh, we're so excited to have you here. All right, everyone, let me just tell you before we have Dee tell you all about herself. I met Dee probably like right after she moved to San Francisco years ago, and I went to a workshop in San Francisco on actually like my first date with someone, and they were just like, "Yeah, you want to go to like a tantra meditation workshop?" And I was like, "Sure." So we went, and this room was full of 200 people, and they were all sitting there in their chairs, and Dee was guiding this workshop, and we did this really beautiful practice. I think it was like the whole journey itself was 30 minutes, and then there was some lecture and information too, where we did this like meditative tantric practice that was really beautiful to be in a room of 200 moaning people all together. And from there, I've had more of like a closer personal relationship with Dee off and on. So that was my intro to Dee, and actually you've come to teach at Pure Pleasure a couple times. So I'm really excited to finally have you in the podcast.
Yay, me too.
And wasn't that your first workshop too, by the way? Your first workshop was like to 200 people.
Yeah, it was my first one in San Francisco, and it was also my first time, doing a big public speaking gig. And I think that the organizer had, someone else who was supposed to teach a sexy workshop, and they canceled sort of like a week or two before it was supposed to happen. So I was just sort of thrown in. I was like, okay, I can do a workshop for 200 people. Let's do this.
That takes some serious courage. Good for you. It's usually people start with 5, maybe 6. Like, I'm just going to do 200 with a mic. You were mic'd up and everything, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, the adrenaline, I think, pushed me through.
Yeah. Well, it was a phenomenal workshop. We didn't know till the very end when you're like, so this is my first workshop. And we're like, what? No way. So you're a natural, which is probably a good foundational piece for how you've just kind of like exploded in your career. You have a book, I know you've been on High Times before, so there's a lot that we'll get into. But first, could you just tell us a little bit about your journey, but specifically how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So you guys mentioned, the book and Ganja Yoga. So, most of my work is teaching cannabis enhanced yoga. But my academic studies and a lot of, my side work is in sexuality. So I went to undergrad and grad school to study sexuality, and I was most interested in women's sexuality, and helping women to get orgasmic parity with men was kind of one of my goals. But I found, of course, academics is not at all really helpful. It's all sort of theoretical, and writing essays wasn't actually helping any women. It was just all, in university, kind of just staying in university. So I dropped out of that program. I thought I was going to maybe become a sex therapist or a professor of sexuality, but I dropped out after, kind of agonizing, and instead did a 360 with my career, and became a yoga teacher, and specifically a Tantra yoga teacher. So Tantra, as many people know, has, at least for now, we'll just say something to do with sexuality. So I was able to work more pragmatically and work with people, with women, with couples in this sort of tantric approach to sexuality instead of an academic approach. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you've been doing Tantra for how many years then?
So yeah, I've been practicing both as a yoga teacher and a tantric coach or sexuality coach for 9 years. I graduated that yoga teacher program 9 years ago. So that's exciting. I'm almost up to my decade mark.
Congratulations. And so there's a lot of elements to that. I'm really interested in hearing about the Ganja Yoga, but more importantly, can we start with the tantric aspect of, I guess, like your teachings, and what is your definition of Tantra? We've had a lot of folks on our podcast talking about Tantra, but I'm interested in hearing about, your perspective / your teachings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, as far as I understand, a lot of the ancient tantric, Sanskrit texts have not even yet been translated. And, those that have been, of course, have, different people's personalities and the culture of the time and egoic, approaches. So Tantra as we know it may not be what it was several thousand years ago, or what's happening in, ancient Tibetan or Himalayan caves, but, as I understand it, that actually is a helpful thing for us modern people because it allows a room for, a non-dogmatic approach to the practice. So what Tantra means for you might be very different from what it means, to me, and that's okay. There's no right answer, one right answer. So in my understanding, and this is from what I learned from my teacher in Toronto at our 500-hour training, is that Tantra, people know it's about sex. It has something to do with sex, but fundamentally it's about waking up to life, and to be appreciative that we're alive, and to feel our senses, here in the present moment, and feel grateful and feel energized, and to the point of almost feeling magical or divinely inspired. We're so healthy, we're so present, and so a big part of that is allowing and accepting all of our emotionality, all of what makes us human, the so-called positive emotions, the so-called negative ones, just allowing the whole range and using the emotions to help us to wake up. Like, I'm really angry right now, I'm really jealous right now, but oh my gosh, I'm a human. It feels so good to even have this emotion. I can use my anger to push my consciousness upward and forward. And in the same way, sexuality is a really potent tool that we can use consciously to evolve the consciousness or to awaken. So instead of pushing away sexuality like other religions or spiritual practices sometimes do, Tantra allows it and invites it, and in fact has practices that directly use sexuality to enhance life, to help us to feel more energized, more connected to our partner, more healthy. So it's a really exciting practice that has so many opportunities for different people to meet people where they're at and whatever aspect they're interested in. So if they're interested in having better sex and longer orgasms or G-spots and all that kind of, they can do tantric practices around those like more overt sex things. Or if someone wants to use it truly to make their meditation better, they might not even engage in any sexual tantra, but they're still doing tantra, if that makes sense.
So yeah, Tantra to you is about acceptance and moving forward or towards something, as opposed to resistance and moving away.
Yeah, I would say that's a really great, definition. And it's not like you have to say yes to every single thing, but it's just like to ask yourself, like, do I want this? Does this feel like my soul or my innermost self, my personality? Does this feel like it's helpful to me? Am I consciously choosing this, as opposed to, my mind, maybe having programming from my culture, my family, or even my own, like that says, chips, for example, just chips are always unhealthy. So I should never eat chips. And, Tantra might say, well, if I'm eating the chips mindfully, if I'm sitting with that salt and vinegar smell for a second, and I'm really like indulging like consciously, and I'm letting that sort of unhealthy indulgence make me feel like I'm awake and alive, then, it's tantric chip eating. And so there's no fundamentally good or bad, right or wrong. Chips are just neutral, and it's your own, consciousness that makes it what it is.
So yeah, and we've talked about this in past podcasts, but I think that this is really helpful information for folks who are always wondering what Tantra is, and to understand that it's beyond sex. Like, sex is just one of the many modalities, and it's what we know of in the Western world. But like Dee is saying, you can eat chips tantrically, you can walk tantrically, you can speak tantrically. There's so many elements to it. So
Totally, yeah. Yeah, totally. It includes sex, which makes it radical, makes it awesome. But it's so much more than sex. And I'm a sex coach. I love studying and helping people. So a lot of my clients, want that more sexual, information. But I always give them that, just the general philosophy that in time for you might move and become about more than just sex. And if not, no big deal.
So I'm assuming, based on that, since Tantra can be even found in chip eating, that Tantra is for anyone, any age, any person, any human, any gender. I mean, is that your belief, or is there someone specific that you could speak to about Tantra? Is it for everyone?
Oh, yeah, no, it's totally for everyone. And it's really great for older people, baby boomer type age people who maybe are experiencing difficulty, being as physically sexual with their partner and having sex in that conventional way, or whether it's erectile issues or just sort of physical mobility and pain issues. Some tantric practices, you can feel really intimate, really in love with your partner, and not even really be moving or touching genitals, for that matter. You could be gazing into their eyes and breathing. And so it's really great for, I find, for an older population. A lot of my clients who are discovering sexual intimacy in this new way. And so it's definitely for all ages and all genders. And there is a view that I don't hold, but that sometimes is held in Tantra, that you need to do practices with a person of the opposite gender to balance these so-called, what's considered gender polarities. And that takes a pretty essentialist view that, all women are yin or watery or cool or feminine, and all men are, fiery and, masculine and like more of an arrow, than an ocean. But I know lots of arrow type women, or women that are arrow-like sometimes and ocean-like sometimes. So to always say you have to practice with someone based on their genitalia, to me, is a pretty dated, notion of even just gender. It goes without saying. I know you guys probably feel that way too.
Yeah, but I think that's helpful because a lot of times people hear about the masculine and the feminine, and it can be a little confusing. I know in Tantra there's the the world of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and a lot of the Tantra teachers that I still am seeing these days are very heteronormative, and it's like it seems a little outdated, and yet when I say outdated, it's also not what original Tantra I think was even about anyway. So, but that's still the
Right,
thing.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. I don't feel comfortable in environments where I, would feel like I have to work with a man because I happen to have female sex organs. Like, in that particular day, I might, it's just like, and it doesn't even matter what my orientation is. It's just like what I'm comfortable, what's going to serve me in this moment. So to really be able to ask ourselves, like, is this practice, is this moment, helping me to evolve and awaken? And for many people, the heteronormative approach either isn't desirable or isn't helpful.
And I think that presence too is a big part of Tantra too, right? So just where am I at in this moment, and what am I desiring, and staying present with that, and that's always changing, because I mean that is Tantra, is to be fully present for the body senses, and as a means towards awakening here and now.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, and it's similar to Buddhism in that way. Buddhism and, Vipassana practices, get us to focus on, the sensory reality as reality is arising, smells and touch, and taste, and, just to stay here in this present, because there's just, so much richness for us to really appreciate. And you really do feel that, hallelujah, I'm alive. This is a miracle. You can get really into it. And of course, cannabis can help that.
Oh yeah, cannabis can definitely help that. I hear you. So if you had some suggestions or some tantric practices that you wanted to share with our listeners that they could incorporate into their sex lives tonight, tomorrow, the next day when they listen to this podcast, are there any suggestions that you can offer?
Yeah, I mean, because it's so non-dogmatic and so individualized, it's really, what feels juicy for you, what feels exciting for you, what are you drawn to, what's your, curiosity, is a good kind of just starting point. But that's so open. I'll give a little bit more detail. It could be touch-based practices. It could be, let's do this thing, honey, tonight. I want to try Tantra. I'm going to hold your hand and just, stroke it and look at it, and just really, be with it, be present, and touch it in, soft ways, and, just be present to you for a full 2 minutes, and just, and then the other hand, maybe I'll stroke it, but I'll, read the newspaper at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then I want you to just feel the difference of, how it felt for me to be present on one hand and kind of distracted on the other. And things like that can just kind of help couples to experience, Tantra, some of these principles like presence. And with just a minute or two, you really get an effect, a result. So just kind of touch-based practices like that, or I also really like eye contact, just gazing, just not necessarily talking much, but just being together and breathing.
Yeah, and that can be kind of edgy for people who don't make a lot of eye contact with their partners.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I have some clients, who've never done it, and sometimes they cry. Just the moment is so real, and sometimes there's resistance, like it's just too challenging, or you giggle. The good thing about Tantra is there's no, wrong outcome or result, or, moment. There's no right or wrong. So if I'm coming to this practice and I'm really hoping it's going to leave us feeling intimate or present, and then in the end I find all this residual anger comes up, well, can I be, in acceptance of the moment as it arises? And even though I wanted the moment to be romantic, I'm just coming into something different right now, or I'm laughing. I thought I was going to be feeling sexy, but I'm laughing. And can I be okay with laughing? And so part of the practice is to just really allow and surrender to what is arising, even though the practices, the practices and the games and the activities we do are, maybe with an outcome or a result in mind. Sometimes the universe brings us a different thing that's perhaps even more needed.
Acceptance, folks. Acceptance. It's the path.
Totally. And you can do eye contact, for you can challenge each other. Like, okay, I heard this Tantra thing. I want to look into your left eye. You look into mine, and let's just try to do it for 5 breaths. And this could be so weird, but let's just try it. You can just be really playful like that. And there's nothing wrong can happen. So if you laugh or you look away, and then the next day you do it again, and on the third day, I bet you it's going to feel a lot easier and a lot more normal or accessible.
There is something really vulnerable about deep eye gazing, and I've done it with my partner before, and I always get this competitive, like, oh, you want a staring contest kind of thing? Like, who's going to blink first? And then I just end up like dying laughing. I'm like, damn it, I want to be sexual. And I end up just being competitive.
That's great. That's so hilarious.
Well, the competitive also sounds like it's like a sense of play too, right? You're adding a little bit of lightness and play as well. And I think, what Dee's saying is that all of it is welcome. All of it can be tantric if you're coming in there with the in the path of acceptance. What about for busy folks such as April and I? So to be tantric, a lot of times people hear the story of, I think it's Sting, right? Has sex, unless you're like 18, you have no idea who I'm talking about, but has sex for like 8 hours. And a lot of times people think that they need, a 5-hour lovemaking session to be tantric. And what are your thoughts about that?
I like the mini tantra, the tantric moment, kind of like, the chips was that example earlier, but just that hug before you leave for work. Like, instead of hugging you and talking about how I'll pick you up after work, let me talk to you about all those logistical things, and then give you a hug with my full presence. And it might only be 5 or 10 seconds, but that's a tantric hug. I'm present. I'm not multitasking. I don't have an agenda. I'm as relaxed as I can be. So there may not be sexual energy or turn on, or maybe there is, but I'm present. I'm feeling my senses. So it doesn't have to be a long lovemaking. A tantric hug, to me, a 5-second present hug is better than a 2-hour, not present lovemaking session where, you're kind of distracted or you're not really connected. So it's not about the time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can be I like the little mini moments. And I think that is, I love emphasizing that because I think it can be really scary and pressuring for people to feel like they have to, create space to have sex for 3 or 4 hours. And a lot of people are really busy. We have a lot of listeners who have children or just have really busy lives. And so this is available to you. And it really is just that sense of slowing down and being present and coming into acceptance, as opposed to trying to be goal oriented or fighting what's here. And it's all tantric.
You got it.
Let's talk about Ganja Yoga.
Ganja Yoga. Yeah. What is Ganja Yoga? Sorry,
Actually,
that's how I want to sit it. I just wanted to say it like that.
But no, I'm so glad you did. It's hilarious. I had somebody come who didn't know what ganja meant, only once in 9 years, but they just thought it was like something to do with the Ganges River.
Oh, the Ganja. I got it. Mm-hmm.
But they pronounce it Ganga
like, what?
in Hindi.
Yeah, right. So they're like, "There's weed here." I was like, "Yeah." And I think she might have laughed. It was not necessarily a good scene, but it was only once. So most people, ganja means cannabis, weed, reefer. So yeah, but it's not just cannabis plus yoga. At least not in my kind of understanding or approach to it. It's a lot of the yoga that's offered nowadays, or if you tell someone who's never done yoga, if you hear that word, they're like, "Oh, yoga's hard." People have this notion that yoga is really challenging, and a lot of it nowadays is really gym focused or fitness focused, and it can be a great workout. So I'm not trying to diss that practice or people who like that kind of yoga, but Ganja Yoga is much more a yoga that's designed to slow us down, and to give us the restoration, the recovery, to the nervous system that we need after a day of, just our stressful culture and our busy lives. So there's nothing wrong with yoga to work out, but yoga to relax is also just needed in our world. So Ganja Yoga is a really relaxing yoga, and it's intentionally meant for all body sizes and all ages and all experience levels. So we get all kinds of people, which is really cool for me that we're taking yoga out of this sort of elite. People think of it as something that skinny white women do or whatever. So I'm trying to really show that really yoga is for all bodies. So even with the ganja, even without the ganja, I'd be an advocate for the sort of accessible yoga.
So you have a Ganja Yoga class. You walk into the classroom expecting you provide the ganja. as well?
Well, we invite people to bring their own to share.
Oh, got it.
For legal reasons, so that we don't ever be accused of like running as a dispensary, saying that we can't say there's ganja, that we're giving ganja away. But people are allowed to share in California. So there's ganja because people have brought ganja. So, and everyone loves sharing their stuff and talking about it. And, everyone's got their favorite strain or their consumption method they like, or there's just like a lot of conversation. So unlike a regular yoga class where you put your mat down and then, kind of just maybe say hi to the person beside you, here we have a half an hour where you're socializing, grabbing some tea, trying different products. And there's a sign when people come in, if you're new to cannabis, to start low and go slow, because some of my regulars have really high tolerances. So if you look around, you can see people like really getting down with their weed. So we invite beginners to start with a smaller dose just to kind of get used to that effect. And then we do like a really, really chill class. It's like really kind of restorative, or like sometimes more hatha, but really, really chill. Try to keep it really relaxing.
So it sounds like it's the community aspect is a big part of it. And I know that that's what's missing in a lot of the yoga world, that people want is more of the community aspect. And I know people who've actually started doing yoga and wine nights, where they'll do yoga and then have a glass of wine after to like wind down. Haha. But this was so cannabis before, socialize, make some friends, connect, and then go into this really yummy restorative yoga practice.
Yeah, totally. We have even time afterwards. You kind of like an optional, another 15 to 30 minutes where, you don't have to leave right away because there's not like another class happening right away. So you have, some time to kind of just like, get in the mood to leave. If you're going to be getting on public transportation, say, like just kind of like, you want to not necessarily be in a totally altered state of consciousness if your yoga was like really meditative. So you have time to kind of be with community on the other side too, which I really like. I really think that that's important. And, it's, the ganja, the sweet, easy yoga, and then the community, all three really are what make it, a ganja yoga class.
I mean, cannabis is such a medicine for folks. And it's a medicine that was illegal for so long, even though it was from a plant. And now finally there's some acceptance, especially in the state of California, and it's recreational in a lot of other states. So I think incorporating into yoga makes a lot of sense. I mean, it should be incorporated into everyday pharmacies and Western medicine as well, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, question about cannabis as well and sexuality for you, because obviously I don't know if you've ever listened to any of the other podcasts. We did one with the gsexual, and we talked a lot about the benefits of incorporating cannabis into your sex life, but curious as to your thoughts on that topic.
Oh, totally. And I love Ashley, the gsexual.
Ashley's great.
Yeah. So I didn't listen to the episode, but I suspect it'll probably have some similar, ideas. I would say the most, important way that cannabis improves sex, for people that like cannabis, not everyone likes it. It doesn't work for everyone, but for people who like it is, it's kind of like with the yoga. It just really helps us to relax. And I'd say that's the most important quality of the cannabis, especially for women who want to tap into our deeper orgasmic potential, just shedding off that extra layer of tension and distraction, even before getting with our partner, or maybe we smoke up with our partner, but just kind of like as a sort of a foreplay to like, okay, I'm shaking off the day. I'm taking away some of those thoughts about work, or just whatever repetitive thoughts not, serving me. And it also, coupled with relaxation and, inextricably connected to it is that, it's deepening of the senses. So as I'm relaxing, I'm more aware of, my senses. I'm more aware of my body. Suddenly I, no longer just exist above my neck, in my device, in my computer screen, but now I have this body again, and I get to feel, all the feelings of my body. So as I relax, the cannabis also helps me to feel, and, as I feel, I, of course, can feel more sexy, more arousal, more orgasm potential as I, make out with my partner or whatever. So I'd say, the relaxation part and the sensitivity or embodiment part are, its main sort of aphrodisiac qualities. But even shopping together, smelling the terpenes with your partner, or even by yourself, of course, can be a really sensual act and kind of be like a foreplay. You're in the dispensary, you're smelling these different types of flower before you buy one, and you're just already awakening your senses. Tantra doesn't have to be sex, but you're already kind of turning yourself on to life just by sort of smoking it, buying it, being with your partner. It's sort of like a foreplay, so it can be helpful in that way as well.
Yeah, I think I talked about this on the episode that we did with Ashley about some of my my best multi-orgasmic experiences were cannabis induced, which is funny because I don't smoke a lot of cannabis these days, and I'm trying to be more multi-orgasmic, but I keep forgetting cannabis. And to me, yeah, it felt like it woke up my body's senses, and it almost gave me like this single pointed focus that I'm always trying to obtain in sex or in meditation. It kind of like forced me to do that, and the single pointed focus is on the touch, and it just seems like for my experience, it not only is it heightening senses, but it helps me to go into a deeper meditative state. Is that something that that you have heard of or experienced?
Totally. Yeah, totally. Like that altered state of consciousness. It's coupled with the relaxation, but yeah, it's distinctively different. Like it's almost like a psychedelic state, like a mild psychedelic, where you're just able to get into whether it's meditation or one pointedness, or absorption is another kind of yogic word, where you're just like completely, your ego could be annihilated. You're just pure bliss consciousness or whatever, right? There's different kind of ways to experience it, but for sure that altered state. And I definitely think of cannabis as a mystical or entheogen or psychedelic. These are kind of some of the words to describe that helps you to get in touch with deeper aspects of yourself and your consciousness, your psyche, but also kind of connecting you to the larger whole. And sometimes it provides me with divine inspiration, or divine, maybe a loaded word, but inspiration that seems to come from outside myself, or just ideas or insights that I had never thought before with my conscious mind, at least. So definitely has that mystical capability or meditative capability.
And it's finding the right strain too, because sometimes folks are affected by the sativa or the hybrids or the indicas differently. So I get paranoid on some, and I know that I would not reach another level of consciousness. I'd be like, oh fuck, what do I have going on tomorrow? Is there a police officer looking through my window right now? Weird shit would go through my mind. And I would not be horny, but I can see if you find the right strain for you as a human, you can definitely enter into those next level experiences. But just a word to the wise out there in listener land, do your testing, research. You have homework now. Find the right strain of cannabis for you. And then
totally. And you might want to masturbate with a strain before, kind of get high by yourself, see how it works for you. Does it lead to happy thoughts or not so happy thoughts before, getting high with a partner that you might have sex with. So you kind of already have that relationship to that strain, and you're kind of doing the testing on your own, potentially.
Yeah, that coincides with everything that we say, that it all starts with you, and it's good to figure out what works for you first before you expect a partner to understand all that for you. So it's helpful to do the research on your own, and then you can share that with a partner. Okay, tell us about your book. You wrote a book, and it's called Ganja Yoga.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool because Harpercollins actually approached me to write it, which is not a very common thing that happens in reality. So it's just like, what? Just that occurrence is really mind-boggling. But also, I think it really shows that, a major publisher, like I think one of the bigger ones in the world, wants to write a book on cannabis and wellness. I think that really means that, times are changing, and it's sort of like that tipping point where it's becoming just accepted as a mainstream medicine, and it makes perfect sense to couple it with yoga and other types of practices like yoga. And, sex is a practice like yoga to me. So it's just so cool that they asked. And I went on a little book tour and, taught Ganja Yoga to over, I think it was like 13 or so cities across the states, which is pretty cool, in of course, legal states. And that was pretty cool. Yeah. And so it helps people, just kind of some of the best practices around dose and method of consumption, and a little bit about the history of cannabis with yoga, and some of the medicine behind it, some of the science. I don't geek out too much, but there's a bit of that. And then there's, just some of my favorite postures for relaxing and how to do them safely, really good alignment. So I'm a bit of an alignment nerd. I like keeping my students really safe because I have an injury from, I've been doing yoga for over 20 years. And I think I used to be a little sloppy with my practice when I was in my 20s. So now I'm really careful to make sure my students are not sloppy. So there's a big section of the book on healthy alignment too, which, is just like a little deep flavor.
Where can people find your book?
It's on Amazon, and then, probably like local bookstores, have it too. I always encourage people, if they can, to shop locally, but it's not necessarily easy.
Okay. And where can people take the Ganja Yoga classes? Are there other certified yoga practitioners, or is it like wherever you are?
Well, yeah, it's kind of both and. So in January, I did my first Ganja Yoga teacher training, and I trained, a bunch of certified yoga teachers in my methodology. And since then, I've done two others. So I've trained, I think 36 teachers across, the states, from Oklahoma to Hawaii, and so they're popping up their own classes. We have a couple women starting down in Southern California and LA and San Diego. And then my business partner, she teaches from Oakland. And when I go back to the Bay, I teach in the Bay too. And meanwhile, I live in this RV. We call it the Ganja Yoga tour bus. So we're actually going to be taking the classes and the teacher training on tour. And I'll be doing, the regular Ganja Yoga, the relaxing yoga stuff, but then also kind of, the sexy Tantra classes. And I call it vanilla Tantra because, we keep our clothes on. It's pretty vanilla in terms of sexual and how our culture thinks of sexy. Still pretty sexy. So we're going to do all that on the tour, so people can find out. Like there's Ganja Yoga Instagram and Facebook, and as you said, there's the two websites you said at the beginning.
Do you put out it on Twitter? I feel like food trucks in LA always tweet where they're going to be. That might be helpful
that's so
too.
Cool. That's a great idea. Yeah, I don't actually use Twitter, but there's always a good reason to start something.
There you
go. Twitter's been a hard one for me. I don't know about all that tweeting business.
I don't know about it. Yeah, no.
Well, so you do sex coaching, you teach Ganja Yoga, you have a book. How can people work with you? I know we named the websites before, but if you can reiterate that and remind people if they're interested.
Yeah, so the sex coaching work is my website, which is my name, deedussault.com, and that's D-U, S as in Sam, A-U-L-T, that's the last name. So that's where you'll find info on working with me privately in a sex coaching context, or if you want to hire me as a private yoga teacher, Ganja Yoga teacher. And then the Ganja Yoga is my Ganja Yoga website. We have to put the word "the" because some smartass went and bought Ganja Yoga. He's not even using it, but he won't sell it to me. I'm the Ganja Yoga.
I know how that goes.
You'll never live that down. Yeah, I'm going to make sure every podcast hears, everybody knows about it.
Ganja Yoga, everyone. Yeah.
Like THE. And so, and I'm pretty active on the Ganja Yoga Instagram. It's just Ganja Yoga, no D. So I'm pretty active there. I post several times a day, and you can follow, I post about the other teachers and their classes, and our website too is active with all of the schedule. And we have like a Bay Area meetup group that has the calendar. I think that's it. We have a YouTube channel of the Ganja, or I don't know if it's or just regular Ganja Yoga, but it has a couple videos there. And I've actually just yesterday dumped a bunch of new videos on the new IGTV, the Instagram TV. So, we're on the platforms. And then I have a Ganja Yoga retreat at the end of August up in Seattle area for anyone who's up that way. And we still have some tickets left.
Ooh, retreat. Yeah, it sounds like you're going to leave that all shiny and super relaxed.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so amazing. Each class will be like a slightly different version. So this will be Ganja Yoga with self-massage. This will be Ganja Yoga restorative, Ganja Yoga with easy upside down poses. So each one will be like a slight different. And then the cannabis product will be kind of like ideally kind of curated to be like, well, this is a sativa for the morning class, or that kind of pairing. I find that stuff really fun.
I like that. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go.
Yeah, totally.
I guess you're not going to Burning Man anymore if you're doing that at the end of August, huh? You're done with Burning Man?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I haven't gone to Burning Man in a couple of years. I did teach like a sort of a cannabis Tantra class at the last Burning Man I was at, but I haven't been in a few years. Do you guys go?
Yeah, I'm still on the fence of going this year. I'm on the hunt for a ticket. If anyone has a ticket, golden ticket, send it to me. I have goodies for you. But yeah, I decided after last year that I actually wasn't going to go, and now I'm kind of feeling the itch. So,
right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I just want to, before we close, I also just want to say that you, tell our listeners that you're actually the second guest on our show that has a really magical Burning Man love story where you fell madly in love with your current husband at Burning Man. So Burning Man isn't just for hippies, people. Magic happens.
No.
There's Google executives
Although I am
at
also
Burning
a
Man.
hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's sweet. I love that story. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this yummy information. We'll have to check out the Ganja Yoga book. Everyone check out theganjayoga.com and deedussault.com. Go to that retreat. It sounds yummy. Take some Ganja Yoga. And if you're not a Ganja person, then practice some Tantra. Tantra's yummy too.
Dee, any final words you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. How about relax the anus.
Oh.
One of my students always laughs. She's like, you always say relax the anus. I'm like, I just like saying it. You know, it's just, it's, we need to. We don't want to be holding, you know, unnecessary tension there. And
I like
a lot of us have, you know, potty training issues and subconscious stuff, and relax it. Relax it.
You heard it, everyone. Relax the anus. Check out Dee's website. Have some Ganja Yoga. Enjoy your day, Dee. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you soon. Safe travels in your Ganja RV mobile.
Thanks, guys. It's been so much fun.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and tuning in every Tuesday to the Shameless Sex Podcast. We love, love, love our listeners, and we will see y'all next Tuesday. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.